Hey everyone, Jason from Front Door Plus. I'm going to go through the presentation that we've done at the three conventions this year, Agricultural Society conventions. So we kicked it off at AAAS in Alberta, then we came back home to Ontario, and then we ended it just a couple weeks ago in Saskatchewan and Yorkton for SAASE. So this is the presentation where we just go through a bunch of tips and tricks and things that other ag societies have been doing to promote their tickets or their events online. So we'll just jump in and get right to it. I'd like to share this with all the people who weren't able to attend the three conferences and just start conversation around these topics. So let's just jump right in. So today we're going to talk about a little bit of an introduction. We'll talk about ticket setup and pricing. I know pricing is a hot debate in agricultural societies, but let's have a long-term discussion about pricing and how the models can work. Promoting your event, that's where we're going to spend most of our time. So digital, and I call it the analog ways of promoting. Day of execution, so some tips and tricks for what we can do on site now that we're scanning tickets and potentially taking debit and credit on site, those types of things. Using a little bit of data and insights to make decisions for the next year to backfill or to make our grant writing a little bit easier and stuff like that. A little post-event debrief, and then some emerging trends. And of course, there's no questions because this is being recorded, but you can always reach out to us if you have any questions, and we'll gladly help you out. Quick introduction. So we're Front Door Plus. You see the easy button there. Really what we're trying to do is build a ticketing platform that is encompassed in the easy button. It's not easy to do, ironically enough, but the goal is to give tools for online ticketing, for promoting your events, and for debit and credit and cash tracking handling on site, to try to make those tools really easy to empower agriculture societies to continue to do the really great events that they put on for the upcoming years. 2025, you'll hear us say 360 view or consolidate the gates. So we've brought online ticketing to this world. We thought Moneris and Square and all those guys were able to handle debit and credit, and that's what they do, but they don't do it with an ag society view. So you're going to hear us say consolidate the gates and 360 view this year. We're always trying to make treasurers' lives easier, and part of that is being able to track cash, doing it easy, debit and credit, doing it easy, and then of course we're trying to move transactions to the couch where it's offsite, making everyone's life the easiest. All right, let's jump right in. So ticket setup, the easiest thing to do is keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. What we've noticed last year is, and the last couple of years is, if you set up tickets with a you pick the day, they're a hit. Now I know a lot of ag societies, the days might have different prices. So it's something you want to start having the conversation about is now that you're doing online ticketing and you're selling in advance, the buyer really likes to have the option or the control of deciding what day to come when they decide to buy their tickets. So instead of traditionally selling a Thursday ticket, a Friday ticket, a Saturday, and a Sunday, they have to pick the day. If you can come to a point where you can create a ticket called the U Pick or single day pass, that goes over really, really well. We see it at Navin does this, uh, Kingston does this. Anyone where your prices are the same each day um, makes sense. I believe Massey did it this year where they actually adjusted their prices across the 3 days, the 4 days, so that they could introduce a single day pass versus having to pick days. Makes life really easy because what the buyer wants is reduce confusion. They just want to know I can get my tickets, I can pick my days. It speeds up that decision making by that family member that's trying to make trying to sort of try to plan the summer or the fall out. And as we know with Instagram and Facebook, attention spans are at an all-time low. So if you got their attention even for a second, just make it easy for them to get what they want. They'll feel empowered by being able to decide what day to come. A, because the families are busy and it's crazy and it's chaotic as a parent, and also the weather. always gets people sort of caught up. So being able to pick a day to come, you're guaranteeing to get that sale and that person to show up. The other thing you want to do too is in simplicity, and we're working really hard with our clients on this over the years, is make the ticket types, the ticket names, the ticket descriptions very clear what the person's getting. We all get it because we're running these events every year, but you might be getting a buyer that's their first time purchasing tickets. So we want to try to make their life really easy. And so we're working hard for fairs and rodeos, especially to make sure that it's not complicated when you get to the buy page, because both those things can get complicated depending on what type of events you're trying to run for your fair or for your rodeo. Talk a little bit about ticketing, pricing. I know this is a hot topic at board member meetings, and it's not something we want to change necessarily as a group. We want to try to keep our prices the same. The problem is the prices have been the same for, in some cases, decades. I talk a lot with Kingston about this, the Fall Fair, Yvonne and the gang, of starting to have conversations that are a little bit longer than what are we going to do this year for pricing. It's what are we going to do for the next 10 years of pricing. We can't continue to charge $5 and $10 for these events. In the case of Kingston, kids are $5 and adults are 10. I can't get a sandwich or a beer for $10 these days. So the cost of running our events, our fairs, the big show is not getting any cheaper. So we have to have a game plan of getting the prices to adjust accordingly so that we're not in the negative. We don't need to make $1 million when we're running our fair, but we need to not lose money. So the types of things we're talking about are a schedule or a plan for pricing. Part of this is getting your event up and running and selling tickets earlier than we traditionally used to. Instead of selling it 2 weeks in advance online, you want to get like 2 months out. Massey's doing this right now, and they did a really great run. Orono's doing this right now, really great run on their early bird tickets. Um, I'm trying to think who else has their tickets. Oh, Van Cleek Hill. I mean, they started selling before Christmas, so they were doing stocking stuffers for their August fair. And what they're doing is you're starting with an early bird deal. And I give a kind of an extreme example here. I go $10 early bird, $15 regular, and then you want to start thinking about making the gate more expensive than whatever online is, because moving that transaction to a couch, as we kind of call it here, yeah, at the office, is so much easier for everyone involved as volunteers than trying to take debit, credit, and cash at the gates. We support that. We had that all covered, but we want to get to a point where less of that's happening there so that the volunteers can be off doing other things. And scanning is the easiest thing to do at the gates. So the example here is $10 early bird. So let's say we're starting an event. I'm going to show a chart here in the next screen. We're doing something in the summer. We want to give the people that are thinking about buying right now a good deal. Again, this is a little bit extreme, but that's okay. Not all the people are going to spend $10 on these tickets. What these people are going to become is the spokespeople for your fair. So they're going to be the ones that, did you get the $10 deal too? This is pretty neat, right? We're going in August and we're in April right now. So early bird is, yes, it's a deal for the people, but they also become like your champions out there telling their friends that they're going in August. And did you hear about this? Then there's a section for regular pricing where you're getting closer to the event. You have to start paying now. You missed the early bird. You're starting to pay the regular price. And then at the gate, Albion Bolton does this really well. Ron down there does this really well. Is, hey, it's more expensive at the gate because this is a pain in the butt to take payments at the last minute right at the gates. And what they did, which I'm going to show examples of, is using QR codes to try to change the buyer behavior even on site. So we're going to go through a couple examples here. Here's that chart I talked about. So let's say we're running an event in July. It's April now. So we're going to do an early bird for the month of May. Seems far out from our event, but that's okay. You're getting the information online. You're getting it into Facebook, which we're going to look at some examples here from Van Cleek Hill and Cold Lake. And you're giving a deal, but not everyone's going to get the deal because they're not seeing it. So it's okay to do this. You're trying to get promotion happening within the algorithms of Facebook. Then there's that middle section where it's the regular price. We've always charged $15. There, the price is there from June till right up to the weekend. And then in July, right on the weekend where our fair is, the price has to be higher. Again, this doesn't all have to happen in 1 year, but you want to have sort of these discussions about like a game plan for the next 5 to 10 years about what that flow is going to look like. Giving deals early on is a bonus, and then you have to pay a little bit more at the gates. This happens in all the other industries where there's online ticketing, and a lot of those industries you can't even go up to the gate and buy a ticket, whether that's for a concert or for a hockey game and stuff like that. What we're seeing too, and sort of this roadmap or this game plan here is giving bonuses for participating early on. Albion Midway, so Carrie and the gang at Albion, for a lot of their events, that early blue area right there on the screen, they're doing a, if you purchase your ticket, you purchase your ride pass in the blue section, you're going to get a free cotton candy. And that is spurning people to change their mentality to buy earlier. And what that's really doing is you're getting cotton candy. That's pretty cool, but you're getting the transactions spread out across time, not all at the gate or in their case at the booth, right at the same time. It's spread out, and scanning again is always easier than fumbling with payments and stuff like that. So here's an example. We're going to jump in now to like examples of promoting your event. So you can see here what Cold Lake has done out in Alberta is up top. Really great information happening. I know everything about the Bolorama. They show the pricing tiers. So we talked about the pricing tiers a little bit of the three tiers. Here they're saying the Bolorama is $20 online, but at the door it's 25. So they're being very open about the way it's going to go as far as the pricing, depending on where you're buying. And then I always like at the end of anything you're reading, the call to action, CTA, is get your tickets online. Where do I get my tickets online? It's at coldlakeag.com/tickets. Boom, you're done. So that's a nice layout there that the folks at Cold Lake have put together. So there's two ways really that we categorize promoting. There's digital, which is the Facebooks, the Instagrams, those types of things. And there's the analog, the traditional ways, which we're going to jump into here. Digital, Facebook, 100% the place to get people to get eyeballs on your event. So the things we're going to look at here is examples of creating public events, call to action buttons on your page. So creating a get tickets button on your Facebook page, massive. You put that there and you will get tickets moved, no problem. Posting in groups on Facebook that have similar interests to what you're trying to run, very huge there. Don't overdo it because they could get a little pissy with that, but definitely find groups that have the same interest as agricultural societies and then post in there to get the word out, because we all know the fairs are running, but people are busy. They're distracted. They forget about these events that we're trying to run. So you want to let them know about it right where they're hanging out, and they're on Facebook. And there's local things to do, websites are out there, whether it's in Niagara Falls area or it's in the greater Ottawa area or it's east of Edmonton area. Like there's places where you can post these things for free typically, so that people know about the events in the area. And then we're going to look at a few examples of social media best practices. Every time you post, you want to have an eye-catching post, which you're going to go through a couple here. Van Cleek Hill, Amy did some really good ones. You want to have always the link to buy your tickets, whether it's going directly to our website, which I totally recommend, or going to your website and then linking back to tickets. There's 2 clicks there, so that's a little bit more friction to get the buy. The one thing you want to be careful, just in this point, if you're sending to your website, make sure your website is not going to be down, especially during the weekends, right? We're not IT professionals here, most of us at Ag Society, so just be careful if you're sending everyone to your website, which is okay, that your website's going to be up. There's been people in the industry on the weekend of their fair, their website was down, and that's where they were directing everyone for 3 months to get their tickets, rather than directing them to our website, which, knock on wood, we're in the business of making sure our website is always up and always available for tickets. So just something to think about, technicalities. Post often, don't overthink it. Some of the feedback we get when we're dealing with folks at Ag Societies, the social media people, is I don't want to post too often and annoy people. They're not going to see all the posts anyway. There's so much in our algorithms, and our algorithms are so tweaked to each individual person that I'll never see all the posts of, let's say, the Capital Fair. I'll see a lot of them because I follow them, but I won't see all of them. So don't overthink it. And you can repost certain things or rebrand the post with slightly different looks and feels, and that's totally okay. We encourage sharing um, the the sponsors, the bands, and even the public. We want them to share too. So make sure you're tagging them in your post in Facebook. It's as simple as doing an @ and starting to type the name of the sponsor. Find them in the list. You're tagging them. If you tag us, we get alerted, and then we can repost. So that helps the algorithms get the word out. Sponsors and bands especially love that stuff because they're being brought into the audience that they don't necessarily have. So that's a good thing, and everyone wins. And we're going to look at just a quick look at scammers. They're out there. There's some things you can do on your on your Facebook page. Um, a couple things can change, which doesn't change the look of your page, but it actually keeps these scammers at bay. We have a blog post about this. So when we post this online, we'll put the link to that blog post so that you can make those changes. It'll help keep your sanity when you're selling tickets online. Okay, so now we're jumping into a couple real life examples. This is Van Cleek Hill. Amy takes care of their social media over there. She's done an amazing job. What we're looking at is their Facebook page. Almost all the ag societies, agriculture societies have a Facebook page. You'll see up top here, very nice, beautiful image that is very telling of their fairgrounds and their grandstands and the sun in the background. It grabs your attention. Very cool. Down here in the middle, you'll see that call to action button I was talking about. So this is the get tickets button. Very easy to do. As part of being one of our clients, you get a little package that shows you how to do these things. And if anyone wants that I'm totally cool with sharing that how to do that. It's very straightforward, but it's tucked away at like all the stuff in Facebook. It's a pain in the butt. But that's very easy to get tickets. And when that button goes live, we've seen ticket sales increase. She already has her event set up. So I took the screenshot in January, and they already had their truck pull in June and their fair set up and posted and pinned and all that good stuff. So their upcoming events are already there. It can't hurt to have them there earlier rather than later. And the the links to get tickets are already there. And this is one thing some agriculture societies overlook, but it's very important, is just fill out this information here. There's a bunch of things you can fill out, including a little intro and just your phone number, your address, your email address, your website, because not everyone knows who you are, especially you know, the people that might not be in the know about fairs. You just want to show them that you're legitimate, where you are, how to contact you if they have any questions and stuff like that. So it's actually important to fill that information out. So now we're looking at the event that Amy has set up for the Van Cleek Hill Fair. Again, nice image up top that's going to grab people's attention, especially parents saying, "Oh man, I want to get my kids the ride passes." So very nice image up top for the event. Very simple name. It's the 181st fair for Van Cleek Hill. Events can also have find tickets buttons, and the way that gets on there, it's an optional field when you're creating your event, but it's actually down here. You see the tickets, and you can see our link right here. As you're filling out the event, there's a section where you can say add a find tickets button, and you put the link to get tickets, and then it spins this up. What's really nice then is if anyone ever sees the event on a friend's timeline and stuff like that, and they hover over the name, they're going to see a find tickets button right in their face. So you get the person one step closer to getting their tickets. I see this a lot where people don't fill out the address. So everything's filled out here, which is nice. So people, when they're seeing the event, they go, "Oh, I'm near there. That's pretty cool. Oh, I know where that is. I'm going to get tickets." So you just want to let people know where the fairgrounds are, when it is, those types of things. So this is a really nice event setup. Not that difficult to do. It only takes a few minutes. The earlier you get this up into the Facebook world, the better, especially if there's that link right here for getting tickets. We're sticking with the Amy at Van Cleek Hill. Again, this is now a post that she's done. So in this case, it was last year, right before their fair. It's a great kickoff post. Again, you should be posting as often as you can. It's quite okay, especially in the week leading up to a fair, to a rodeo. People like to see behind the scenes, set up, get them excited, pictures. Here, this is like an hour or two before the fair. So it's a great kickoff post. Again, the call to action links. So you see the link here, and because they're bilingual, the link is repeated here for French. That's where you get your tickets. You should always be doing that. People see something, they love it, they click the button, they get their tickets. Everyone's happy. Emojis, as much as we don't like them in some cases, in this case, it's very important to grab people's attention with a little bit of emojis, and this is perfect right here because as people are scrolling, they're just dopamine hitting and they're just like kind of like phased out. So you want to kind of grab their attention so that they can see something. And this is actually a cool post. It's not a picture of something happening, it's actually the event. So people can really quickly look for tonight and go, oh my God, the adult tug of war. I'm in. I want to go check this out and have a beer type thing. So really good post here, day of the event. Just show briefly the scammers when you're doing stuff digitally. They will be around. It's not necessarily humans. It's people who have written crappy like scripts and stuff that do this. In this case, we're seeing more of the vendor scams where they're posting against Agricultural Society posts and they're saying, hey, if you want to sign up as a vendor, contact me. And then what this does is when someone replies, DMs this vendor coordinator, this person will say, hey, just give us $25 to for a down payment. And we've seen it where people have sent that e-transfer. So what I've always told people is there's never been a really successful transaction for tickets or these types of things in the comments on Facebook. There's some things you can turn on to try to limit these people, but you should be watching your comments and looking for these things and trying to delete them or hide them. We watch on behalf of our clients their comments and let people know. We even do it for our non-clients just to let them know, like, hey, you should probably get rid of this one. So this does happen. Again, our blog that I'll post with this with this presentation has some things that will limit these pain in the butts. So that was promoting digital through online stuff. I didn't get into Instagram too much there. It was more of Facebook, but Instagram is another place that you can play and picture heavy, so image heavy. You want to have really great images. And as you're posting in stories and stuff over there, you want to try to put links back to buying your tickets. Um, Now there's analog. We don't forget about analog. So like radio, newspapers, flyers, and posters, they still work. Um, in these cases, you still want to have a very clear call to action. So whether it's the radio, at the end, you want to say, get your tickets now, go to capitalfair.com, or you might be on the newspaper and have like a QR code in the bottom or the flyer, the poster saying, scan here. Um, One thing we see just linking back to digital is a lot of people will make a poster, a digital poster, and put it on Facebook, and it's really heavy on scan the QR code in the case of the image. The problem with digital is if you're focusing the person to scan the ticket, to scan the QR code to get tickets, they're already on their phone, so they can't scan that QR code. So just keep that in mind when you're digitally trying to get people to scan something. That posting that QR code on Facebook it's not counterintuitive. It's just not going to be easy. So you want to make sure that there's links in the post and stuff like that. But in the case of paper, it's still important to show that. Now I'm going to show a couple examples here. Capital Fair does some advanced stuff where they do some radio ads, but part of that is those get injected into podcasts on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff like that. And people that are listening there might be, they're not all younger, but they're a younger crowd. So it's easier in with those new age technology, those ad marketing for ads will get the ads injected into the podcast midway, and then they'll hear something about the fair and end up going. So Capital Fair did a good job there over the last couple of years doing that. So here's an example from the Sangudo Summerfest. This is Alana that has put together these nice little, they're this size here. I don't know if I could show that, but they're like kind of like this. This is the 2025. Oh no, this is the old version, 2024. So nice little postcards that they can either drop at, the local, drop at the local coffee shop, or they can hand out at the markets and stuff like that around town. What's really nice, it's beautiful, so it really grabs your attention here. The layout is very nice. Here, there's a QR code to scan for tickets. So if you see one of these, even if you don't pick up the postcard, you can scan it and it goes right to get tickets. Very clear on the information again. So you can see tickets are $30 for adults online and they're $40 at the gate. So you're setting the expectations for everyone involved on what pricing is going to be. And then it ends with a little footer of where all the funds going to be. So to make sure that it's like, where is this? Well, it's in Sangudo, it's in Alberta, and it's going to be by Deep Creek Camping and Events. So pretty cool layout there. Here's the back of it. So now we get into a little bit more information on the back, and all this stuff can be done in Canva, which is really easy, and it's quite it's not expensive to do these things. So it's kind of neat that Alana and Chelsea did this. So again, very informative up top. What to expect? That's the next thing people always ask is, well, okay, what can I expect for my family at whatever this event is? So some really good information here, drawing attention to the headliner. So Quentin Blair, which is a friend of ours, played last year. So drawing attention to him. And the one thing I really like in this, which we don't see too often, is they're actually drawing eyeballs to the volunteer opportunities. One thing we hear a lot is people like buy tickets to go to our events, whether that's the excuse me, the X's or the festivals or the fairs. They always go like, how I like this. How would I volunteer? So it's really neat what Alana and Chelsea did here to promote their event, but also down in the corner, which isn't that small. It takes up a nice amount of space. Is, hey, if you want to volunteer, scan this to learn more about volunteering. So really, really well done. A lot of information in a small space, and easy to get these out into the community. Now, in bigger communities, speaking of communities, this is Dave and the gang over at the Navan Fair. They ran, and Tracy too. They ran ads on the back of buses. Now, this is on the 417, which is under construction, and there's a section that's always slow for the last couple of years. So you're stuck behind this bus. Now, I wasn't driving; my wife was driving here. But I snapped this for a couple of reasons. One, we do business with the Navan Fair. Number two, huge Big Sugar fan, especially through university. And I went to this gig last August, and it was amazing. Um, what they're doing though is they're in the greater Ottawa area, but they are outside, town, outside of Ottawa, and they're pulling people from, there's just over 1 million people in Ottawa, so they're pulling people from here over to Navan, especially for the fair weekend. So it's very clear when the dates are, who's playing, who we are, and what the website is. So when you're in traffic, it's easy to remember Navan Fair, and you'll probably remember seeing that it was August sometime. So very, very cool to see this. And not everyone has an Ottawa or a Toronto or an Edmonton near them, but you might have a bigger area than what your town is. So it doesn't need to be on the back of a bus, but start thinking about how can we economically tell the town next to us or the city next to us about what's going on. And that's the radio. Radio will make deals with you because of just nature of where we're going with satellite radio and online radio and stuff. So they will make deals with you. And then things like this on the back of buses was definitely a huge hit in Ottawa. We'll just go over a couple sort of day of execution and gate ops things that we picked up over the years. Now that you start selling tickets online, you're introducing something different at the gates. Traditionally, 3 years ago, Kingston was a cash only fair. So all you did is you went up to the gates. It was an experience. You paid your cash and you went in. Now what we've introduced over the last 2 years is people will be bringing tickets, right, that they bought online. So you want to make sure you take care of them, or they might be paying debit and credits. You want to take care of them. So it's line management and traffic flow. If you have the volunteers to do it, we recommend having a separate line for the tickets that were purchased online versus paying at the gate. And the people bought in advance, they want to be able to get in. So they come into a separate line, you scan their ticket, get in. And I'm going to show you some cool examples here, some pictures of how to do that, which is great. What'll happen is people that are in the line that is the slower one, traditionally taking debit, credit, or cash, will look over at the other line and go, what is going on there? And if you give them a way to buy whatever that is, which is online tickets, they will do it. And I'm going to show you some examples. Metcalf did this well, and Albion and Bolton, Ron did this well too, out on the other side of Toronto, is they put QR codes right where the person's standing to say, if you scan this, you can basically go in that line. So I'm going to show you some examples. The other thing too, physical signage, if you can do it. Again, I'm going to show some. Where to go is good. You're directing herds of people, and the herds are a little bit different now. Some are going to be paying debit, credit, cash, and some are going to be paying or bringing scanning tickets to scan. So you want to do some herd management. The Russell Egg Society, the Russell Fair, and the Lansdowne Rodeo do this really well. Is they'll put someone very bubbly and poppy and very nice out front to just direct traffic. So as people are coming in, they'll just get in lines when they see a line. That's what we do, right? So you get someone up front. Russell, very busy on the Friday of their concert nights. So they have someone out front going, "Did you pay?" Left line, or "Did you buy online?" Sorry, left line. "Are you paying debit or credit?" Middle line. "Oh, you're in cash," or "You're in the right line." And that just makes the flow go really well. It's worth having that person there during the busy period to direct traffic, like you'd see like a cop working a corner, working a light that's out and stuff. It's just getting people through as quick as they can. Lansdowne the same way. They had a lovely couple out front last year in May, again, just during the busy period going, "Do you have this? Do you have that?" Because when you get in a line, you can't see what's in front of the line. And so you're just calming the anxiety of the person down, especially if they bought their tickets online, and saying, "Go over here, they'll take care of you," versus "Go over here if you have cash." So you just want to make sure you help the herd get to where they need to go. Volunteer training. This is something we take very serious at Front Door Plus, is making sure that the volunteer is ready. So you want to go through with very, very simple, "This is how it's going to work, volunteer. Thanks for helping this year." In our case, we use test tickets. So they can log in on their couch a week in advance, a day in advance, and they can play with some test tickets that go green, that go red, that make the good noises, make the bad noises, show the green, and all these other things, so that they know what it's going to feel like when they get to the gates, and they're more empowered to that first couple scans that happen at the gates. We got this idea from the Russell folks a couple years ago, is the ability to print off one pagers that can slide into like a duotang from from back in the day. Make sure that it's waterproof though. That you can either pull out, the volunteer can pull out and learn at their time. So when it's quiet, they can pull and go, "Oh, I should look at the, I should look at how this stuff works." And so if you have like a quick start guide in there with all the other things that should be happening at the gates, it goes over really well. Keeping it just keeping the paperwork not getting wet is if you can put it in a in something that is plastic. What Russell also does is they have big plastic boxes that clear boxes that you can put all the stuff in, so that if it rains, you just put it in, put the cover on, and nothing gets wet. But then you can see inside, because it's clear, what's in there. So it could be our phones, our scanner phones. It could be documentation and stuff like that. So that's a nice tip from the Russell folks. Okay, so this is an example of what Jim, Jessica, and the gang down at Metcalf have done. Is this QR code was put on all of the fencing around the fair and in the parking lots, and it says, "Scan the QR code to get your gate and entertainment tickets." The lineup for the demo derby night is also right in front of this. So while people are standing in this lineup to pay on site, they're like, "Why are people going in quicker?" They turn, they scan the QR code, they buy their tickets right there, they skip the line, they scan in, they go in. Now they're inside instead of being in a line. They're at their seat, they're having that beer, and they're having a poutine. So you've got them in quicker. They're they're not really spending anything right here on the outside, but once we get them in quicker, they're in doing stuff like that. So big QR code. In this case, this one's reusable yearly because of the nature of which QR code or which link we use with Metcalf. So this doesn't have to be created every year. They can be stored for the year and then put back out, and it goes to the same place to get your tickets. And like I said, they posted this all along the fencing, and we could tell just based on the speed of a order versus to scan. This happened. This happened a lot, especially on demo night, which was Thursday night. Here's another example if you want to get a little deeper into creating things. We built these a couple years ago. We put them down at Capitol Fair. This is a sturdy A-frame. It's heavy, so if you're going to put this somewhere and use them, it's totally cool, but it can take a beating, which is fine in the weather and stuff, but it is a little bit heavier. In this case here, this example here, this picture, you can see in the back, it says Capitol Fair entrance right here. So right around this corner, not that far, is the actual entrance to the Capitol Fair where you would pay. And what we found of putting this A-frame here is a lot of people scan this, bought their tickets between here and like less than 100 feet away around this corner, where they could have paid debit, credit, or cash. They actually bought online. So putting these in different places, like, including way back to when we just talked about like online, where you're putting all these easy links to buy your tickets. Even on site you can do these things and they will purchase online. Everything's done digitally, safe, secure, less cash happening through these types of things. So that was an interesting sort of test we did, and we continue to do it each year with the Capital Fair. We're bouncing back to Metcalf now. So a couple screens ago, we were showing the QR code on the fencing. This is now at the front gates, which is quite busy most of the time, where that lineup is all the time to pay. Debit and credit is over here on the left. And this is very clear of, hey, this is where you come to redeem your online tickets. Again, clear, no re-entry, without wristbands, and scan your tickets here. What I like is the high contrast of this coloring. Metcalf's colors are traditionally heavy in blue. And so this really stands out. It doesn't blend into the rest of the Metcalf sort of imagery that's around. So it's very clear when you're walking by, oh, yeah, I've got a ticket. And oh, I guess I go here. So very, very good. This lineup is obviously much quicker because you're just scanning a ticket. You're not doing a transaction. So this line was fast and people were buying into coming into this to this line. All right, so now you're doing online ticketing. You might be doing debit and credit and cash tracking, especially if you're using Tap at the Gates, which is our system. There's some cool data and insights that you can draw from this information. One is the attendee demographics. So we're gathering information, especially online, about where the person came from, sales patterns. We're seeing when people buy and what time, how early. The nice thing with us being so focused on one industry, which is the agricultural society world, which is 90% of our clients, we have patterns that we can look at with our Front Door Plus family across Canada. So we see different patterns and we see shifts. And as we see the shifts, when we're talking with our family, our clients, we bring those things up and we work with you to make sure that we're adjusting accordingly. So when we reach out and go, we should probably set up the event a month earlier this year, it's not just for random ideas, it's because we see these patterns at a high level across Canada, that we get to all share at a anonymous level and help each other out. Grants, um, grants are getting harder. There's more expectations for data to back up what you're saying in your grant stories. And so if you go with a 360 or consolidated view of everything that you're doing on Monday after the event, if it's all under one umbrella like Front Door Plus, you have all that information ready to rock for the grant. So you could literally start your grants on Monday morning. I don't recommend that. I think you should get some sleep before that, but those are the demands that are happening off site. So we need to make sure that all the things we're doing, including things I talked about today, are tight under one umbrella and are focused on what we're trying to do. And it's not just ad hoc put together. Email marketing, I'm going to show a great example on the next screen. Email marketing is still important. It's relatively easy to do, and it's not too scary like the old days. Merrickville, Judy and the gang down at Merrickville do a great newsletter. They do it like once a quarter, nothing crazy. They use MailChimp, and it's really engaging, which I'm going to show next. And then feedback loops, post-event surveys. I had a great chat with Keith Emery from Massey Ag Society about talking about post-event. And what they did is throw some students, some volunteers on site walking around with iPads. And I love the idea of asking, you don't need to do a whole survey with people, but as people are sort of, walking around, enjoying it with their family, just ask them three questions. And maybe two of them are super fun and funny. And there might be one question you really want to know for this year for your committee. And so make sure that you get that. And if you ask people in an engaging, positive way, you're going to get really great feedback. If you ask these questions during checkout, which is totally possible to do, you're probably not going to get as clear of an image of the data, because people just want to get their tickets. So some really cool things you can do post event, including asking your volunteers what they saw and making sure that you write that stuff down for future reference. Okay, so here's this newsletter that I was talking about that Judy and the folks down at the Merrickville Ag Society do. Here you can see on the left is the newsletter. So nice image, right? Every time I see their imagery, I know it's them because of the deep greens that they use. Very clear what's coming up is in the case of last year was the fair. Buy tickets is buttons right there embedded in the email. MailChimp and those platforms for sending newsletters allow for that. And then it's just a little bit of information about the fair. They do this once, I think, every quarter. They just did one recently for their spring roast beef dinner, and then they kind of do one in the fall. So it's really great write up, and just people read emails, especially if they're following you. So this is a great thing to do. We don't today in our system natively have a newsletter sending system. It's not easy to do. There's a lot of nuances on the tech side and stuff like that. It's something we're looking at. I think it'd be pretty cool to have that in our system. But MailChimp does it really good. Like, and they do it for relatively free, depending on the size of your email list, or it's pretty cheap after that monthly. So it might be something we bring to the system at some point. But right now, it's easier for us to help use the platforms that this is their day job, um, kind of thing. And then post-event debrief, I mentioned a little bit about this, is you want to be looking for consolidated reporting or a view of everything that's going on. So in our case, sales by day, by time, by ticket type, how many kids showed up, how many adults showed up, online versus in person. Are we shifting the narrative to more online tickets? And we have examples now across multiple years with agriculture societies that we are seeing a shift. A good example again is Kingston, Yvonne and the gang, cash based for 100 years or more. We show up, we do an okay amount of online tickets the first year. The second year, we introduced online tickets and debit, credit, and cash tracking, and it was amazing. We knocked off 40% of the cash right away without even really telling the world that we could do this. Like telling the public, sorry, that this was going to happen. 40% of the cash is off the table. Gail and the gang, super excited. This year, we've tightened up some of the game plan of how cash is going to be handled on site, what gates and stuff like that. And we expect to have 50 to 60% of the cash is gone. And that's only 2 years of using a consolidated or a 360 sort of system that's all in one. So really stoked to see the how Kingston progresses, and we're seeing that everywhere. We're seeing it with the Orono folks. Um, Anyone that uses the full system is getting the full benefits on the other side. Volunteers and staff feedback, what worked, what didn't work. Usually people are tired at the end of the weekend and are grumpy for the most part, unless you give them some pizza and some beer, but it's still good to get some feedback. Make any notes on gate congestion and promotion gaps for the next time. Get the stuff on paper if you can earlier rather than later, and tuck it away somewhere in your fair notes, because we will forget next year. And what happens a year later is you might go, yeah, it was actually like really bad Saturday at 11 o'clock. But if you go back and look at the stats or the feedback, it wasn't actually 11 o'clock. It was a different time. So you want to get that stuff down on paper. And then long-term strategy. So always thinking about, building up the data year to year and growing the attendance and refining pricing. So, earlier on, I talked about not always thinking in the terms of the next fair. Of course, we have to think about the things we're going to do on site, but thinking about the game plan or the roadmap. And you don't have to think in like necessarily business terms of making money, but how can we sustain the fair or the rodeo or the thing we're trying to do. It's a little tight on the cost of doing business in this world of midways and vendors and fencing and ticketing and all these things. So you want to be thinking long term about a lot of things, including that pricing. And you want to keep your email list engaged year round, not just for ticketed announcements. You want to mention volunteers. So that newsletter I just showed from Merrickville, you want to engage people. People want to get out and do things, and they will volunteer. So just keep them engaged and letting them know maybe about the curling bonspiel this fall that they might not have known about, or the volunteering opportunities that they have. Just quickly before we wrap up, some emerging trends of looking across Canada at all the events we do. Last time I checked, we were in 60 or 70 agricultural societies. We're also doing a lot of not-for-profits in this world of raising money for great causes. What we've noticed lately in the last 6 months is dueling pianos is a hit. They It's just a fun time, right? You get to request your song, you put a little bit of money in the on the piano, and you have a grand old time with your friends. Ladies' nights are always a hit. Russell, in particular, if anyone wants the template for a ladies' night, Judy actually did a talk at OAS about her ladies' night and how that gang puts this together. It's amazing. With us this year, they sold out ladies' night. I think it was in 9 minutes online. That's 500 tickets, like gone. They've been asked to do a second night, and as Judy says, "Are you crazy? It's hard enough to do one night, right?" So they built a brand around their ladies' night, which actually sort of brings the Russell Ag Society name up too. Like it's a really cool story. So if you're looking for a ladies' night, hints, tips, tricks. What we do is we bring Russell, Jose, and Judy into the fold to share some of their knowledge because they've done really cool things. Hypnotist, I'm not going to slag hypnotist. I'm friends with some. It's just that it's a little cold right now for some of the events that have run. I don't have a whole lot of data to back that up outside of a few events that we've hosted for ag societies that didn't go so well. So just keep that in mind if you're looking for something alternative to do. Comedy nights, popular at ag societies, at legions. The one thing I'll mention here is some of the feedback from buyers is I don't know who that is. So I'm not sure. What I tell organizers that are doing comedy nights that are one-offs with like yuck yucks and stuff is tell the audience the comedian's paid to make you laugh. So you don't necessarily need to know who it is, right? It doesn't need to be a big name, but they're going to make you laugh. Like they're all funny. That's the business of doing it. If they weren't funny and they're on stage, they don't usually last long on stage. So comedy nights are good. Just make a mental sort of note here on barn dances. We're seeing a little bit of a shift, but we're going to go through another cycle here now of spring to summer barn dances, where attendance appears to be a little down, and I'm not sure if that's because my age being 49, did we do our dances different of just getting out, having some drinks, having a good old time? And now the next kids, the next group is maybe hanging out with their friends a little different. I'm not sure. But we're watching sort of the barn dance trend is it's not trending down yet, but it's stagnant. So we're kind of keeping an eye on that for the group across Canada. And we'll just finish up with the payment evolution is happening. These are the things I've been talking about at over the last couple of years at ACE, OAS, and SAASE. Is the shift from cash to tapping online is definitely in play, and we're seeing it. Cashless is in general on the rise in our ag society world. We might be a little behind the rest of the world, and that's okay. We're going to do it at our time, our speed, our cadence, but we're going to get there as a group. Cash is still here. I don't want to say cash is king anymore. Cash is a pain in the butt, but it's still here. So we have to support it. We have to deal with it. But let's know that there's a game plan that we can get away from it. And honestly, at the end of the day, if I can get a few more treasurers not counting cash like mobsters at the end of the night and they're enjoying maybe at least a little bit of the fair or the rodeo, I think we all win. All right, that's it. This QR code doesn't really go anywhere except here. This will be online. Thanks for your time. If you attended the presentations at the three conferences when we were out on the road, I appreciate you doing that and taking your time to sit and hang. And the questions we had during that time were really great, and some of those have already been baked into our system. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us. You don't need to be a client, part of the family. You can reach out. You can post publicly. You can whatever works for you. We just want to help people get engaged with their community and do great events. I hope you have a lovely time. If this helped, let me know, and we'll see you this summer, most likely. And next thing you know, it'll be fall, and we'll be planning the next set of presentations. Have a great one, and have a great season, fairs and rodeos, folks. Cheers.